Greetings, citizens of Chima. This is RusticCastle from the Chima Markets, and welcome to LEGO Chima Landscape Update number 11. In today's update, we're going to be going over my version of the Fangs. Now, I've managed to complete all of this over the Christmas period, and now I'm going to show off what I've managed to complete. Let's dive in. But before we dive into the details of the Fangs, as you can see there, just in front of you, I've added a bunch of vehicles onto the landscape just to get an idea of how it's sort of going to look when I set up the scenes. So I'm not going to be setting up the scenes in this update, but I'll be setting it up in the next update, and that'll probably finish the series of building this landscape, because as you can see in front of you, it's pretty much complete. So obviously you can see on the left there, we've got the Eagle Interceptor held up with some 1 by 2 by 5 bricks, I think they're 5 tall. But I'm going to order some more of them so that I can pose like more air vehicles, because I am actually out of those pieces because I didn't have a lot. And then there's Lennox Line Attack, there's the Crocodile, I believe is it the Croc Raider it's called, or the Reptile Raider, and then there's Crawley's Claw Ripper, Wax's Pack Tracker, Rascal's Glider, and then at the top there you can see Gorzan's Gorilla Striker. But like I say, there's no minifigs there currently, but obviously eventually there will be. But let's take a deeper look into the Fangs and I'll show you what I've built. So here we are, taking a closer look at the Fangs area of the build. Now this, of course, looks a lot different than the last time you saw it. Last time it looked like this, and now obviously we've got all of this created. And I think, honestly, I'm really happy with it. I like the way I've done like this rockwork here. I think it works a lot better, that I've sort of changed the style of the rockwork compared to the other side. So as you can see over here, the rockwork is like a different sort of technique almost, because this side I've used mainly wedge plates and then also the nice curved pieces, and I think that works really well for the Fangs, because obviously in the show it's a bit like more straight as opposed to like the rigid rockwork. So I think it works pretty well. I think I've done well. I've integrated some olive green parts just to make sure it's not one big like dark tan canvas. So I've integrated some olive green parts, as you can see, like here and on here, just some slopes. And then the actual like Fangs pieces, as you can see, it's built up using some hinge bricks. As you can see here, that's effectively what they are. And all I've done is place them down and then angled them at the respective angles. I think that works really well. So obviously there's some plate detailing for the actual like landscape, but I didn't want to fill the landscape too much because I'm going to need places to put minifigs, to put vehicles like where you saw Lennox Line Attack and even the Reptile Raider. But so that's like why it's, I don't want to say plain, but it's fairly empty with open space, so that there's a lot of space to make scenes and stories with minifigs. And that leads me on to my next point, which is basically asking you guys what scenes you want to see on this landscape. Now obviously I'm not just going to create one scene and just leave it forever. I'm obviously going to switch up the scenes every now and then, but the idea is I want to have like one overarching storyline with like various little storylines. So let's say there was a big battle between the lions and the crocs, but also in the background we see like, I don't know, 30 stealing something off the speedos, or the beavers fixing one of the speedos, etc. But that is like the idea for the storylines. So just taking a closer look down here at the rockwork, like I say, it's a bunch of slopes, wedges and lots of plates, basically all in the snot technique to make it nice and smooth. Same over here, as you can see, lots of different plates and wedges and curved slopes. And then for the ramp, all I've done is had like a diagonal plate. I've got some supports underneath to make it diagonal, as you saw in the last update, and then I finished it off with some slopes so that there's no gap. I know it might look a bit funny up close, but then when you go further back you can't like really tell. So I think that works really well, and here you can get a closer look of all of the Fangs. Some smaller details to take a look at is just these bushes. I've added some bushes just so it's not all plate. It would be a bit funny if it was just all plate without much foliage. And then actually, if I move this out of the way, I've also added some mushrooms, and I've put these trans light blue discs underneath, because in the show like the mushrooms aren't very like thin, they're quite thick, so I thought that'd thicken it up a little bit. I'm not 100% like happy with the design. I think it could be made a bit better, but I'll keep thinking of designs and I'll update you if I end up changing it. And then there's another mushroom over here, a red one, which I think actually looks really nice. It adds a nice pop of colour, so I'll probably order some more of them and scatter them around the landscape to make it look nice. Alright, that is going to do it for this update. Okay, so I'm going to do one more video of this series, basically showing off the landscape as a whole and showing off the scenes that I will create, some suggestions from you guys, some that I'll come up with by myself. So that is going to do it for this episode. Please do not forget to leave a like, subscribe, join the Discord if you haven't already, and of course, stay legendary.